final question comes from Kevin Bryant with the Coalition for Equal Justice.
Good evening. It's been a long evening. My name is Kevin Bryant. I'm with the Coalition for Equal Justice. Right now, we have 40 plus people, and we have a team that is working closely with the Raleigh County Police Department called the Fair and Partial Policing. We call them the FIPs, and they're establishing a relationship now. My history goes back to 2017 when we spoke to the law board in reference to the disparity in racial arrests here in Raleigh County. And I kind of understand that because I'm an 11-year veteran of the Raleigh County Police Department. My question deals with the Raleigh County Police Department, which was established under Kansas Statute 194427, which consolidated the Ogden Police Department and the Raleigh County Sheriff's Department. The statute was approved by legislators in 1974. In addition to the creation of the RCPD, the state statute provided for a law board that oversees the police department and is responsible for the annual budget, personnel, management, and hiring of a director, which we've just done with Director Butler. The Kansas statute was passed by the state in 1974, over 45 years ago. The original statute outlines the makeup of the law board, specifying that 3 members are commissioners, 2 are city, 1 county, or 1 city and 2 county, alternating 3-year terms. The statute does not specify qualifications, training for the members of this board, and as the department goes, the budget becomes more complex. The Coalition of Equal Justice believes it's time to clarify and update the state statute of the law board members, establishing training, clarifying city, town, and county budget considerations, and allow more transparency to the citizens of Raleigh County. My question is, would you favor an update to the state statute to bring the Raleigh County Law Board up to date?
Mr. Matta.
Definitely something I'm willing to look at. I have a bit of trepidation going back to the legislature because you're never quite sure what you're going to get back because lobbyists get involved. So there's a concern there. As far as qualifications, I mean, right now we have elected officials who pick them. I wouldn't want to have like qualifications. You know, when people run for election, we don't say you can't run because you don't have certain qualifications. Now, having said that, let me stop on the training too. I think we should have some good orientation when people get on board, kind of maybe pat a little bit after the Citizens Academy for the city. But for qualifications, I think there would be some good things to have in there as far as saying that elected officials cannot sit on those citizen spots, which was something that was done before. The other thing is including a representative from the small cities to be on there to make sure that they're represented, whether it rotates or it's just selected. The other thing is making sure we have a representative from the rural, non-incorporated areas of the county is the other thing that I would like to see on there. The one thing is we do have the power under the current statute to make it an elected board if we do a petition. I might be actually a little bit against that because the county and the city are still paying for it. We do have the power under the current statute to change the funding formula. And I know there's been some issues with the fact that we're in Pottawatomie County and Riley doing it. So that we could actually do on our own. And I would like to see some more things in there on the things we should do. There's a lot of stuff that is done that's good, like going over the crime statistics.
Ms. Focke.
Yes, I think that the statute needs to definitely be updated, and I would diligently work with our elected representatives at the state level to change those statutes. Perhaps we need more than 5 members, and I agree with Mr. Matta that they ought to be citizen positions, and we should have representation from the rural areas, which, you know, there's a lot of issues with the police department and the North County at this point with that and the EMS, but qualifications, I am a firm believer, and this is just my own personal feelings, is that if you're running for a public office, you should have some education, basic education, and the voters need to decide who has the educational background that can handle these complex issues. And education doesn't always mean that a person isn't qualified, but it really helps. And our elected officials should be able to appoint people that are not necessarily their friends and buddies, but people who are actually qualified for the positions.
Mr. McKinley.
The current makeup of the law board appears to be working, but there's always ways for improvement, and willing to look at that. I will say whatever they did to hire Director Butler was a home run. I could spend the next 30 minutes discussing how good a job he's done, how much of an improvement he's made in just a short time, but that's another conversation. I'm obviously a big fan. He's working on a lot of things within the system. Back to the question, I do think serving on the board that, additional training is always helpful. Until a few years ago, I'd say there were 3 commissioners on it and 3 county, or they said 3 residents, but at that time, all 3 residents were always other city and county commissioners. And they did, about 5 or 6 years ago, they did change that, put residents on there, which I think has been good. Although, as some others have mentioned, there aren't any, the 3 others, 1 is appointed by the county and 2 by the city, but even the county one is a city resident. So all 7 members of the law board live within Manhattan. And as I said, for the small towns and for the county, I think they need representation too. Let's see. The only thing, some have mentioned, and I don't know this problem, that the residents are setting taxes without being elected. They're not elected people, but I think there's enough others that are elected on there to cover that if people have a problem with that.
And Ms. Fang.
First, I'd like to thank the Coalition for Equal Justice for your leadership in organizing this work over the last several years and working with our police department to address the racial bias in the department and the community and finding solutions to address these issues. Yes, I am in favor of updating the state statute. Again, I firmly believe that the people who are most impacted by the decisions need to be at the table and in support of the solutions we implement. What you are asking is directly in line with those principles, which is why I am in full support of these policies. I also believe that all law board members should undergo specialized training as if they were volunteering for a citizen review board position in the state of Kansas. City and county commissioners can appoint board members, but should not be board members themselves, given that they already have the final decision on budgets and most personnel hires. There are a lot of stars that need to align for this change to happen. However, I am committed to doing my part and supporting a state level campaign to change the statute should that campaign come to fruition. Thank you very much.